Coming back to America and the latest shocker from its president. He's been in office for 14 months and he's already appointed his third national security advisor, John Bolton. Isn't really a bolt from the blue. His name had been doing the rounds for a while now, but the announcement was no less stunning. This man spells war. Here's why the American press calls him a dangerous choice.
Surrender is not an option. The title of John Robert Bolton's memoir chronicles his 17-month stint as the United States ambassador to the United Nations in New York under President George W. Bush. In it, he lays bare his visceral dislike for Iran and North Korea, two countries that are in Donald Trump's crosshairs today. And that is not all. The 69-year-old Bolton with the walrus mustache shares Trump's distaste for multilateral organizations or treaties. He has welcomed Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, prefers ratcheting up pressure on China, advocates discredited American policies such as regime change, preemptive strikes, and like Trump, did not serve in the Vietnam War. But here's the clincher. At Yale Law School, Bolton had Bill and Hillary Clinton among his classmates, but by his own admission, he didn't run in their circles. Bolton is a furious tweeter. Sample some of his recent tweets. On 7th of March, he argued for pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. 2 days later, he tweeted his frustration with North Korea. And he followed it up by talking about proliferation linkages between Iran and North Korea. On the day the Washington Post broke the story about Bolton's imminent appointment as National Security Advisor, he went ballistic on Twitter about North Korea. And in the days leading up to his official nomination, Bolton targeted Iran, Russia and China, tweeting that Washington needs a long-term strategy to deal with countries like Russia and China with long-term rulers, in an unmistakable reference to Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Already, Bolton's appointment has turned many people anxious. A South Korean lawmaker described it as, quote, worrisome news, end quote. If Bolton takes office and talks with North Korea go haywire and yield bad results, I don't know what we'll do then. The North, meanwhile, has kept its own counsel on Bolton's appointment. But he is no stranger for Pyongyang. On the eve of a round of six-nation talks over Pyongyang's nuclear program, Bolton called Kim Jong-un's late father, Kim Jong-il, a tyrannical dictator. North Korea was quick to respond, calling Bolton human scum. Anecdotes abound about Bolton's abrasive personality, like this one which talks about how he kept a diffused hand grenade on his desk while he served in the foreign ministry under George W. Bush. Or how he called his fellow diplomats in the ministry's East Asian and Pacific Affairs Bureau as the EPZers. The post of National Security Advisor does not require confirmation by the Senate, the upper house of America's legislature, and it would come as a relief for Trump and Bolton himself. The last time lawmakers in the Senate got together to confirm Bolton's nomination as US envoy to UN, they found him too extreme. Interestingly, his memoir contains an afterword. It is titled Challenges for the Next President. It might offer a glimpse into what the Trump-Bolton duo may plan together. With Ramesh Ramachandran, Bureau Report, WION.
New Delhi had barely become familiar with the new set of officials in Washington when Trump decided to go in for a major overhaul of his cabinet again. Rex Tillerson was the first to go, soon to be followed by H.R. McMaster. Trump has replaced them with Mike Pompeo and John Bolton. Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval of India will be keen to learn firsthand about the policies and priorities of the new dispensation under Pompeo and Bolton. Pompeo, who was until recently the chief of America's intelligence agency, the CIA, is known to Doval and diplomats in New Delhi. It was Pompeo, more than Rex Tillerson, who was the architect of Trump's South Asia strategy unveiled in August last year that gave India a preeminent role in stabilizing the situation in Afghanistan. But both Pompeo and Bolton are extremely hawkish on Iran, and that may pose a problem for India as it seeks to engage Tehran in strategic projects such as development of the Chabahar port. North Korea could be another fault line, with these two taking charge. Bolton has tweeted about problems in enforcement of international sanctions against North Korea, an issue that might come to engulf New Delhi given a recent United Nations report detailing the trade ties between New Delhi and Pyongyang. Although Bolton has had time and he has time and again spoken about proliferation on linkages between Iran and North Korea, he has remained silent on what India says are clear proliferation linkages between Pakistan and North Korea. So so they are selective in their criticism. Moreover, Sushma Swaraj has said that with Tillerson seated beside her in New Delhi, India would not cut its diplomatic ties with Pyongyang. That's a statement that she made earlier. But what might cause anxieties in New Delhi would be how Bolton handles Pakistan. In the past, he has made a case for not pushing Pakistan too hard because of fears it might prove counterproductive for the region. Sample this. How much pressure on Pakistan is too much? The answer, and I'm quoting, if Pakistani Taliban or other radicals took control of that country, it wouldn't just be another base to launch terrorist operations against the US or Western Europe. It would be a terrorist country with nuclear weapons, so it would be Iran or North Korea on steroids right now. That's John Bolton for you. Particularly disconcerting for India will be Bolton's unhelpful attitude to the India-US nuclear deal. When it was being negotiated, Bolton, in his capacity as Under Secretary of State for International Security and Arms Control, had resisted attempts to engage India on nuclear issues. In fact, he was among those officials in the George W. Bush government who were skeptical of India's track record on non-proliferation. Bolton opposed relaxation of restrictions out of fear that Indian nuclear technology be passed on to third parties.
The United States Senate held thorough confirmation hearings. As a result, America is now...
There's a meeting that is scheduled next month between top officials, and their first assignment could well be an engagement with Sushma Swaraj and Ajit Doval. That is what makes this appointment very, very closely watched for India.
I'm profoundly honored, indeed humbled, by the...